part 5 of our Reiki Master attunements, meditations, training, history, what it's all about. And to start out this part of it, I'm going to talk about becoming a Reiki, what we call master. I particularly do not care for that word master. It implies that it needs to be female, and what we're talking about here is an energy sent from God, which is to me both male and female the same. I do consider angelic beings to be of both sexes, and there's a balance there. That's a good thing. And as somebody who was formerly doing a lot of web work, there was also the term called webmaster. You can get a master's in art, a master's in theology, a master's in just about anything. But as for any of those things, I do believe that this knowledge does not, as I said, really belong to any one of us. It is something that is sent from the divine, and we cannot know everything and master everything. So I would call it a Reiki continuum. One of the parts of my Reiki continuum was and is Tai Chi and the practice of Qigong. So I've done quite a bit of reading on these two things, and I'd like to tell you kind of a funny story of how I evolved into Reiki from practicing Tai Chi. Now, there was at one time near me in community ed a class that I was looking to take after I'd taken some belly dance classes, and those turned out to be a little bit too vain for my liking. I decided to get into Tai Chi instead, and I ended up in a class with somebody who liked toting a gun and talking about it, and this class was being offered by sort of a military background, and anybody who knows me well enough knows that I'm not really that type. I tend to be gravitating towards peace, and that's what I was looking for in a class. However, I ended up in this class with a gun-toting military teacher, and although it was an interesting experience and I learned how to do the moves, this wasn't quite the direction or quite the teacher that I was looking for. However, it did push me on to other teachers out there who thankfully were wanting to go the same direction as I was. So while I was in that class, what happened was we were kind of given this assignment or little, what I would call a parlor trick, to use our energy to put out a candle. And now, I, being peace-loving sort of person that I am, my thought on that was that no, I think that I'll just sit back and watch them, whoever wants to be involved in this, watch the other people try and put out a candle with their energy. My thought on that was that I actually want to be able to light a candle with my mind instead of blowing it out. So that was my philosophy on it, and I stayed out of that particular parlor trick. And as it turned out, we went through the class and learned most of the moves. A lot of the members of the class kind of slowly dropped out, but we were left with a few people there, and towards the end we started doing a little bit of martial arts, and in this case I was matched up with the teacher and was to do a self-defense move. And the thing about it is that I do have a little bit of history with knowing the self-defense moves. I had taken some of that in college, and I had the instructor down on the floor in 3 seconds flat, and that is when I was given over, the teaching of the class from there on in. And so of course I didn't quite finish up part 3 of all the moves, but I went on to check out more videos and learn Tai Chi and the principles a little bit more. One of the books that I did read, which was really interesting on this whole Tai Chi thing, was David Carradine, who unfortunately is not with us anymore, but Tai Chi is very similar with the movement. We're talking about Reiki, Tai Chi, we're talking about that same Chi, whether it's in Qigong, Kung Fu, which is a faster motion of Tai Chi or Tai Chi. So it's that same energy that's being moved around that I spoke of in the earlier videos, and we're just moving it in a different speed. So that's part of how I got going with this, along with the meditation. And these are things that I've continued to use to keep up with this continuous growth at it, which I would call the Reiki continuum. So that is kind of the thing about doing Reiki. It is a continuum. It's always learning more from it. And as we do it, the energies become available to us as we need them. With these different kinds of attunements, we can use and master the symbols that go along with them. And if you want to, you can look up some of these symbols that I'm sure you'll find more information about, things like the Shokurei and Daikameo and those type of symbols that go along with some of the Reiki treatments. And there's very much an abundance of different types of Reikis. What we're talking about right now is the Usui Medicine Buddha Reiki, but there are all kinds of different ways of sending out and using this energy that we're talking about. So in doing this, we receive opportunity to open more and more completely to a limitless potential of Reiki, and to develop it in ourselves and send it out. So we get these qualities contained in that energy. And what we can do is consider all the aspects of Reiki. Besides the potential to heal virtually all illnesses, it contains these other vagaries that we'd like to have, things like unlimited love, joy, peace, compassion, wisdom, abundance. We know these are the qualities of Reiki because people experience them when giving or receiving treatments, and they're especially apparent when we meditate on the source of Reiki. And since I have that artistic background, this is why I have so many pictures and visuals and music for you to meditate on along with this. And I feel that it does help you to assimilate and understand, if not in a literal way, in a visual or a felt or kinesthetic way. And when doing so, we're lifted up to a safe place where we feel completely cared for and become aware of wonderful possibilities that can come from within, such as the creativity and the new ideas that we can use in everyday life. When we contemplate these things, it's easy to become overwhelmed with optimism and confident understanding that all challenges in life can be met and that our lives can be a glorious experience. And it's always mysterious. And no matter how much developed we become in this life or any future level of existence, we'll never fully understand it, because to fully understand it and to be perfect would be to cease to exist. So it's something to remain appreciated. And I'll let you think about that. As you do, I'd like you to take a deep breath through your nose and out through your mouth. Another deep breath in through the nose, breathing in the universal energy and absorbing it. We can also meditate on an affirmation to surrender to this energy, the source from which it comes. And another way to think about breathing is to breathe in actually through your crown. Breathe in that energy right through the top of your head. When you're involved in the healing process, a good way to determine your progress is to use the outer world as an indication of your inner development. And this works because we manifest our entire experience through our thoughts and intentions, both conscious and unconscious. I'll give you a little example. So when I first started thinking about kaleidoscopes, it happened to be the time I was outside taking pictures of some birch trees out in the woods. And what happened was I brought them in the house to do some Photoshop images, and so I altered these pictures. I brightened the trees, and I kind of made a kaleidoscope effect with Photoshop. And within that particular picture, as it happened, there was this little golden being. I don't know how else to describe it, but it looked like some sort of being with wings, sort of like an angel, and it was holding a candle and looking into it. And so it was it was one of these things that I just like, wow, I don't know where this came from. It just like it just popped up, and it's there. I jumped right out of my chair. I was just so so shocked to see that happen, right before my eyes, and doing a kaleidoscope. So from there, this went on to more kaleidoscopes, and the manifestation of it more recently has been that I pictured these kaleidoscopes like taking up a whole wall of movement. So moving art on the wall. And what's happened now with learning how to do kaleidoscopes and trying to find more beings. And by the way, when I look into these kaleidoscopes, the interesting thing has been that it is sort of like looking into a galaxy. I look into the very center of these kaleidoscopes, and at the center of every kaleidoscope is a little white dot that extends outward. So what I'm saying is that this kind of goes along with the physics of a black hole too, in that within every black hole there's that little speck of light, which is that same Reiki that we're talking about here. So anyway, that is something that I wanted to put up on the wall, and it is actually one of my manifestations. I'm sitting here looking at my projector right now, and I have a bunch of kaleidoscopes. So for my attunements, to attune myself, what I do is I will put up on a wall-size kaleidoscope, and some of the negativity that I try and avoid, that I just don't watch, is things like downers, like the nightly news and some of the programming on TV. We do not have a TV, so I consider this both my entertainment, my life's work, and something that I can do that can also be sent out to other people and hopefully help others. So that's kind of my example of one manifestation. I guess the other one would be, the progress that I've made from going from a Tai Chi class with a gun toter to knowing far better now through practicing things like Qigong and Tai Chi with the kind of teacher that I would like. Getting to know that energy much better, so that I can use it in everyday movements and in my exercise, and move that chi to ease some of the aches and pains that I have too. So I think that it really improves pretty much every aspect of my life to have learned this. And it's taught me that if the outer world contains positive experiences, I'm enjoying my life, and this means that the inner world is in a similar state. So this is what I wanted to pass on to you. If we're feeling things like the negative stuff, like painful disappointment, fear, worry, doubt, these are all things that we can start to bring back into balance by using Reiki, even if it's only for a few minutes. And when somebody starts meditation, I suppose it can be really tricky. You know, I had a little bit of a difficult time just going with the instructions that I had in front of me, and I was reading that as far as meditation goes, the thing to do is to completely think about nothing. Well, this, as a beginner, I don't know if that's really all that useful instructions to get. Because you know, the fact of the matter is we can't really stop our thoughts. You know, you can be sitting there trying to meditate, and you get this incoming voice saying, oh, well, you know, and I'm having the same thing actually happen right now. There's kind of an influx of information, because in the background here, what is actually happening is my partner is talking on the phone, and so I have this little voice inside of my head that pops up in the middle of the meditation, and it's saying to me, well, I wonder who he's talking to. You know, are they talking about work? Do we have to go out and do something in the barn right now? That's life. You know, that's kind of how a meditation goes. And so I think a more useful thing to say about meditation is that, well, you know, these things happen. There's interruptions. Your brain might start to say something nasty to you, like, oh, I can't believe she said a thing like that. You know, that was really nasty. But kind of the thing is to, I suppose, be a little selfish and give yourself some time to absorb into any kind of a meditation, and to take your focus from that negative self-talk, and like what I like to do with the kaleidoscopes is just like, oh wow, you know, kind of fall into something else that's in front of you that is beautiful and inspiring, and try and find the little beings of light, or what I sometimes call them is that, you know, these little things that pop up in fractal art, or like little Buddha goddesses, gods and goddesses, and sometimes they look like little angels, and that's I suppose, you know, you work enough with them and you're going to find that. I've also noticed that with, you know, just really looking closely at things in nature, like plants. I can tell you that this is one of our assignments in college, was to make a little viewfinder and place it right on top of a plant. And so we took this 1-inch square part of a plant and blew it up to about a 9-inch by 12-inch picture, and enlarged and painted that, and that way we absorbed ourselves in all the details. And you know, I really found that a very meditative process too. The other thing that was quite meditative was something like you could do crocheting or weaving or wood carving. Any of those things, they're all meditative, and don't be surprised when you hear this, but misfits, artists, musicians, we all make for good channelers, so don't be too down on yourself. And there's really not a perfect way to meditate. It's just kind of a continuum. So after a while, you can start to become aware of this level of consciousness that resides deep within each of us, and that can help create new attitudes and to solve many problems that would come along. So now that we know how this whole flow works, let's do a quick attunement before I leave you here today. And I'm going to say right now I'm collecting some of the sunlight. Thankfully we have a lot of sun out today here in sunny midwinter Minnesota. So I have my hands aimed towards the screen, and they're hot, and they're sending you white light energy through the crown of your head. And I'm going to take you on a guided talk so that you can get yourself rooted again. Let's do a grounding as long as we're at it, and think of the chakras and the flow of things and the flow of the universe, and watch the flow of the universe in front of you on the screen. At the same time, if you like, or close your eyes and just go with the flow. I'll do some of this quietly, but I'm sending you some white light energy through the top of your head, and it is spiraling down around your third eye, which is located just above your eyebrows. And this is in helping with your unconscious and conscious contact of channeling yourself. Move that energy down towards the throat. And by the way, as I'm doing this, I'm doing several clockwise rotations of each of your chakras as I hold my hand, one hand towards the screen and one hand towards my chakra. Give them a spin. I'm spinning my hands, and that energy is going out to the world. Down to the heart, to the green chakra. Moving to the yellow chakra. Down to the orange. To the red, and let's take that red down into the hips. Let's remove any of those blockages from above. Move them out through the legs, deep into the earth. You can think of holding your hands down there too and letting all the stress, worry, anything negative drop off your fingertips, drop off your limb, be that tree. Drop off any of the autumn leaves you don't need to have right now in the middle of winter. Just going to drop them off. Anything negative, leave it way, way in the center of the earth. And when you do that, just remember that all that energy will come to be positive energy and will return through your roots and go right back up into the universe, into you. Refresh, rejuvenate, nourish, protect, balance, and bring you happiness, happiness, happiness. And with that, I'd like you to bring your hands up together and in forming a shell of protection around your aura. And it is a purple golden shell emanating. Stretch your arms out. That's how far I'm going with it. Nice big shell of protection and stability to go with your grounding. Now put your hands together in a prayer position, and we will be grateful for the spirit guides who are assisting us with this today. Spirit guides, ascended masters, the universal source, and namaste.